Hello, my name is Victor. I'm the product manager of the environments group here at GitLab, and this is our 17.2 milestone kickoff. In this video, we are going to skip the discovery section of the planning because given resource constraints, basically I'm the only one who is doing discovery work in the coming milestone, and that's mostly around a lot of unstructured user interviews in our domain. Those are our plans. On the other hand, in the delivery part, we still can progress very nicely, I think. So let me share with you what our plans are in that area. First and foremost, we are super excited to be able to ship an environment log streaming view as part of GitLab. In the past milestones, we have been working on Kubernetes dashboard, and we already have a view that shows all the pods by status. You can even filter by status, and you can have a detailed view of a pod as well within GitLab, all in real time. This is awesome. It already allows our customers to see when they deploy to Kubernetes how a new deployment is rolling out. If there are any failures there, they can quickly pinpoint which pods are failing. And with the newest addition that we want to ship in 17.2, and we are very confident in shipping in 17.2, is that we are going to offer a streaming view where the user can pick a container in a pod. A pod can be composed of multiple containers, and see the logs as they come into GitLab continuously, and very similar to how the pipeline logs work. So this is the biggest delivery item we have on our roadmap for the coming milestone, but we have several other very interesting and important items as well. Another item related to the Kubernetes dashboard front end is that we want to provide a Kubernetes Watch API as part of the GitLab CAS component. Today, we rely on the Kubernetes Watch API that's offered by the Kubernetes itself, and we found that to be not being very robust. After a while, from time to time, it just stops working, and sometimes it even freezes the GitLab UI. And we managed to pinpoint that the cause of that is the Kubernetes API on the cluster side. So we want to make a more robust fault-tolerant client and server at the CAS level that will be able to serve our Kubernetes dashboard UI in a more robust way and be able to reconnect and handle all the errors that are happening on the Kube API side, on the cluster side. The third item is still related to Kubernetes. It's a minor improvement, not even improvement, minor addition to the UI we have related to the Flux integration that we have today. With Flux, by default, it checks its source, typically a GitLab repository or an OCI container registry, for new manifests at a regular interval, at a configured regular interval. Moreover, the reconciliation can be even triggered, for example, from CI job or this issue from the GitLab UI. This might come handy when somebody stops Flux for whatever reasons that shouldn't synchronize, and then they want to trigger it on purpose. Or there might be situations when people want to deploy with a pool-based deployment, but without the automatic checking of the manifests to have more control over their deployment. In these cases, having that button on the GitLab UI is a very simple solution to serve their requirements. These are basically our deliverables that we really want to ship toward our users. And there are a few other things that we consider strategical or are part of a larger work. As you might have seen in the environment logs issue, we have already a details view about the pods. We want to have a similar details view about the Flux resource details when the user clicks the Flux status button. This is a very small addition that will provide more context around what we know about that Flux resource, where is the namespace, where does it come from, or its dependency, and so on, what Flux actually supports. As I mentioned, larger bodies of work. This is clearly one of those. For several months now, we are working towards supporting clusters that can't see GitLab with the agent. This means that the cluster-based certificate-based cluster integration worked in a way that GitLab reached out to the cluster, and for that reason, the Kubernetes API of that cluster needed to be opened towards GitLab. This worked well for some of our customers, but was clearly not an option for many other customers, and especially not an option for users of the SaaS services of GitLab. That's why we started to work on the agent for Kubernetes. And while it supports a large number of our users, there are some valuable users who have a setup where their GitLab is installed on their premises while their clusters are running in the cloud, and they would rather open up their Kubernetes APIs towards GitLab than opening up the firewalls, Office firewalls, so that the cluster can reach the GitLab instance. For that reason, we want to change, we want to allow the other direction for the setup as well, which means that GitLab will be able to reach out to an agent that's already pre-configured on the cluster, set up the connection, and afterward, all the agent functionality will work as it works today. This is not a deliverable. It will likely take a few more milestones to be able to deliver this work, but we are done with the foundations that were needed for it, and now we just need all the plumbing to make it actually happen and provide it through the UI as well. But first, we are focusing on the APIs. Minor bug fix, but something that annoys several users, as you can see even in the upvotes, is that today, whenever we have an action prepare or action verify job on an environment, on a protected environment, those jobs are turned manual automatically. No approval is required because approval will be required only for the action start jobs, but they are still manual, and it just comes shocking because often what happens is that people approve the prepare or the verify action instead of approving deployment action. And in reality, the approval is not even needed for these actions. These actions can be run simply manually. We want to clean up this situation so that prepare and verify actions won't be manual going forward. And this will hopefully serve some of our users. This is part of a little bit bigger set of bug fixes that are around the action prepare and verify and access keywords. But this is the first item that we want to handle there. We have two more items that I want to speak about that are related to the instrumentation initiatives we have within the CD section. First and foremost, we are working very hard to track agent version metrics for GitLab.com users. We realized recently when we introduced a breaking change in the agent that there are quite a few very, very old agent K instances trying to connect to GitLab. Even though in our documentation, we stated clearly that we support ±2 versions compared to the GitLab version, there are agent versions that are like an year old. And today we don't know what their share is, whether they are used or they just come in from time to time. So we are doing instrumentation to better know the versions that are connecting to GitLab.com. Another item that currently is more in the discovery phase, but it's not really discovery, it's an internal discussion, is how can we instrument Flux usage in clusters where agent K is installed as well. And thanks to the analytics team, we now have a clear plan of events and metrics. And this is moving towards refinement now, so we can tackle it actually in the coming milestone 17.3. These were our plans for the 17.2 milestone. If you have any questions, please reach out to us in the G_environments Slack channel. We'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions.